Hey, welcome to the basement. We are going to debrief reading number 2 today in class, and we're going to do it live. So, before I get to the mechanics using Google Classroom, let me just talk about the format. There are 3 novels that are being read at the same time in class. Adoration of Jenna Fox, Absolute True Diary of a Part-Time Indian, and Lord of the Flies. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create 3 separate Google Meet invitations, and I have the list of students who are in each of those reading groups, and I will invite you to your specific Google Meet. So when you do come into the Google Meet, you are not meeting with the whole class, just the other students that are reading the same novel that you are. Once again, since we are doing a Google Meet that is required, let us review some of the Google Meet standards just real quick. You can turn off your camera. I do not have to see into your house. You can turn off your mic. I do not have to hear your voice. You can use chat instead of mic if you would rather type your answers than say your answers. But you do need to be in the Google Meet so that you can hear my thoughts and the work of others or see the work of others. Since the last time that we had a Google Meet that was required of the class, some changes have happened in Google Meet to make it more conducive to classroom learning. So there are ways for you to digitally raise your hand, digitally give thumbs up, and there is a grid mode so that you can see your whole class, your whole group in a series of boxes instead of requiring the computer to figure out who is talking and show you like who's up. It does a full class view a lot better now. So I do look forward to seeing you in those Google Meets later during class. So again, I'm using Calendar for that. So you will have to check your email or go to calendar.google.com to find those codes. All right. I will probably also do a backup in the description of one of today's assignments where I'll say part-time Indian group, here's your meet link, Lord of the Flies, here's your meet link, and so on. All right, let's look at Classroom to look at all the assignments that you're going to use to do this work today. All right. So I have choice novel reading number 2 highlighted, because the document that you're going to need to have handy throughout your day's work is the reading guide that was attached to the second reading assignment. So if you're reading Jenna Fox, this is your link. If you're reading Part-Time Indian, this is your link. Lord of the Flies, this is yours. Again, you don't have a copy of this, but you can view this one. So if you want a copy, you have to file make a copy so that you then have your own. When I go into these, it is nice to see students that have made a copy and have put it here. This is not a requirement, but this does a couple things. One, it communicates to me that you're doing your work, and 2, it organizes your digital files for you a little bit. Now, as soon as you make a copy of a Google Doc, it goes into your drive. But where? Where does it go? So if you attach it to this assignment, then you don't have to use Google Drive to search for it. Copy of reading guide number 2. It's right here from now on. If I say, hey, you need to use your reading guide today, you can go right back to this assignment and hey, there it is. You can open it up. So it's not a have to, but I like seeing these here because these students, I know that you're not going to struggle to find your work today. All right. Why do you have to have that up? Because when you go into your Google Meet today, I'm going to ask you to be responsible for 3 answers out of all the possible questions that the reading guide has. All right, let me say that again. During the Google Meet today, you, personally, are going to be responsible for answering 3 of the questions that is on that whole list of questions in the reading guide. The way that it will work is we'll just go through the reading guide question by question, and I'll ask who decided to take this one on. And students who took it on will either type or say their response. I'll add any thoughts that I have and then move on. In Classroom, you'll also notice that reading number 3 has been scheduled for next Thursday. If I open up the reading calendar for all 3 novels, it has been planned out now for the remainder of the unit. Mr. Gum and I spoke, and we decided we're just going to go with Thursdays. That keeps it nice and simple and still spreads out the reading quite a bit. So if you just remember now that you have a reading assignment due every Thursday, that will be nice and clear. But if you need your pages, it's always here on this document, the pages that you need, and a new set of reading guide questions. Okay. Today we are having organized Google Meets where I will check in and you will be sharing some of the responses to these reading guide questions. The other thing that you will be doing is there will be a link to today's Flipgrid that you will do at the very end of class. What is one thing you gained, either skill or knowledge, from attending today's Google Meet? All right, so there's no companion document to the Flipgrid today. When you record your response, you're just answering this question right here. I just want every student, even if I don't know how the Google Meets are going to go, even if the Google Meets do not get through the reading guides successfully, we're still going to gain skills and knowledge. I'm sure of it, and I just want every student, no matter what happens, to be responsible for saying one skill or knowledge that they gained. All right. Finally, next Tuesday, there's going to be a reading quiz. Now, normally, the reading quiz would be today, right? Reading 2 is due, reading quiz. But because of remote learning and because I am giving all these double checks like today's Google Meets, for you to check with yourself, am I really reading the novel at the level I need to be able to pass a reading quiz? It'll be multiple choice, and the questions that you get will be from the reading guides, but just turned into multiple choice questions instead. So you're ready for this quiz if you're doing the work. And so many of the Flipgrid feedback that I gave was, I'm really happy with you guys. All right, let's be positive. I'm really happy with the Flipgrids that I'm getting. I know where you are at in your learning because you're sharing what you know. But for many of you, when I heard what you know, you were borrowing knowledge from later in the novel, or you were using knowledge that was general or incomplete, which told me that you are doing just enough to act like you're reading, but you're not actually treating this as a reading unit like we normally would. Now, some of that is just natural. Like, we're going to strategize how best to get the work done in front of us. And not everyone likes to read, okay? That's part of this course. But I'm observing that right now your strategies aren't good enough, right? I have to push you a little further. It's never going to be perfect, but I have to push you a little bit further. It is unfair sometimes to be a classroom that reading, either because we struggle with it as a skill or we struggle with it as a passion, right? Either our interest in it or our actual physiological makeup of our brains. Everyone in our class has some reason that picking up a book isn't easy or their favorite or positive, right? Not all of those things for everybody, but some piece of some of those ideas, right? What that means for us is not that we make the reading easier. It's that we work with it even more. And so the mantra of this class is always that we go slower, but that doesn't mean we have less work. In fact, it means that we have more, right? When I'm posting things like reading guides, when I'm offering things like Flipgrid reflections and Google Meets, you have to use them. If you don't use them, then you're not using the resources that I'm giving you to be successful, even though reading is something that you haven't had success in the past, or that it's been hard work to have that success. You know, I'm not calling anyone unsuccessful in here. So that seems unfair. It's already something that is tough, and a class like ours actually asks for it to be tougher. But that's because that's the way you're going to get up there. That's how you're going to get the skills and knowledge that I know you can get. And the reason I know you can get it is because I listen to those Flipgrids and I hear competent, intelligent young people voicing their thoughts. I just need more of those thoughts to be coming from something that you have read. Okay? So I look forward to continuing to hear your Flipgrids. I want to remind you one more time that once I have those Flipgrids, no student ever has your video reflections, but they are useful for telling your support teachers, both paraprofessionals and case managers, and of course Mr. Gum, Ms. Frelly, Ms. Pomeroy, how you're doing. Right? Normally they could see you in school. They could saddle up to your desk and be like, how's part-time Indian going? They can't do that anymore. So these Flipgrids are a way for me to share that. So if you have one of your case managers or even a paraprofessional say, I saw your Flipgrid response and I thought it went really well, because so many of them are so good, it's because I did share it. No students ever, but any teacher that is hired by the district to help you will see that so that they can continue to do that help. Okay? So I will see you in your Google Meets later, and then I'll see you in your Flipgrid reflections after that. All of this material for today will be put in one assignment, which will be 6.12. So I'll call it something like today's meetings. All right? Look forward to working on our novels today.